Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. For my regular subscribers and my regular viewers, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome to you as well. My name is Jennifer, and this is my channel. Today's video is going to be different from usual videos that I post, and for one reason or another, I have tried to video this several times today, and I'm hopeful I can make it through this take. I'm not sure. It may take me a few cuts to do so because the tears are going to be flowing. So if sobbing and crying trigger you, you may not want to watch this video because I can guarantee you there will be crying. I've known for some time that I was going to have to make this video, but I kept hoping that I could avoid it for as long as possible. But here I am. On Thursday, April the 2nd, my sweet little Piggy crossed over the Rainbow Bridge, and I'm positive he was greeted with open arms by my mom, who is now giving him endless cuddles and love and keeping him company until I can be with him again. I've had a lot of people ask me where I have been, where I vanished to this time. Vanishing has become pretty common for me these days. It is my response to avoiding the shittiness that is my life, the shittiness that is my diet. His diet has become, or still is, maybe not even became, it just still is, the shittiness. This is just going to be a sit-down, frank talk. I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing. I'm just going to tell you, be extremely real with you and raw, because that's exactly how I'm feeling right now. Like I said, my vanishing in the past has been ways of avoiding the reality and avoiding life. If I don't have to deal with it, I can pretend it doesn't exist. I learned that from a very young age. My dad taught me that. He always dealt with his problems growing up that way, and he always told me if you don't think about it, it won't be true and it won't exist. So I grew up thinking that that's how part of my huge problem in life has become. But this isn't something I can avoid because this is too real for me. I can also hear in my head my sweet friend that I made many years ago. She is a recovering alcoholic of 30 plus years. She's in her 80s now, and she always asks me when I avoid things, how's that working out for you? And I'd always tell her it's not working out, and she would always say, yep, that's exactly right. So in an effort to stop avoiding, I'm sitting down with you guys and doing this video. I have my cup of coffee and my decaf cup. So for anybody who knows me, they understand the relationship I have with my cats. They're not just pets or objects that I share space with. They are part of my soul, and I feel connected to them. I couldn't love them anymore if they were a human child. I don't have human children, but I can't imagine feeling a deeper love for anything than I do my cats. I form attachments very easily, whether it's to animals or to humans, and I love deeply, and I don't do well when people or animals leave my life. It is very emotional, and for that reason, a lot of times I avoid forming bonds with people, forming bonds with pets, because I am fearful of how I'm going to feel when they are no longer in my life. And that is just a part of life. We all have gone through it, whether it's losing a person or a pet. It's just something you can't avoid. So let me talk a little bit about my Piggy. For anybody who is new to my channel or has not heard me talk about my baby before, Piggy was 15. Well, he would have been 15 this summer. He was a stray when I found him, and he came to me at a time where I was getting ready to lose my previous cat that I had for 17 years, Smokey, and I am pretty sure that God sent Piggy to me to help me deal with the loss of Smokey. And my mom actually found him outside, and she didn't want to tell me because she knew I was going to want him, because he was this chubby little ball of fluff, and my mom just knew me, and she knew that I would want him. So against her better judgment, she gave in and let me keep Piggy. And at first I would just bring him in the daytime, and I would feed him, which is how I got his name Piggy. Even as a little kitten, he'd eat a whole can of cat food. His little tummy would get so hard and he'd get so full, and then he would sleep in my arms the whole day. And being in the situation that I was in, being housebound, I spent 24 hours a day with him. And most of my life, even up until he passed, there were a few years where I was going to school and I was active and I wasn't home a lot, but for the most part, I was with him most of the day, every day of my life, every day of his life. And so the attachment that we grew together, the bond that we shared, was a lot deeper than just a common house cat. He was my baby in all sense of the word. I would have literally stepped in front of a bus if I knew I could save him. So eventually it started getting colder weather, and I somehow convinced my mom that he needed to stay inside because I didn't want him to be cold. And so the rest was history. He stayed indoors ever since then. He was just a couple months old when I brought him in. And he's been with me through all the difficult times of my life. When my mom passed, when I moved out of our house and out on my own and into our first apartment, he was with me. I don't know how I would have done any of that without him. As support, just cuddling him, just petting him, hearing his beautiful little purr. He was the most calm, mild-mannered cat I have ever had, the sweetest disposition ever. In his almost 15 years of life, he never scratched me, he never bit me, he never hissed at me. Even when I put him through what he probably thought was torture of cutting his toenails once a month, he wasn't happy about it, but he certainly didn't make that much of a fuss about it. He just let me do what I needed to do, and then I gave him his treats and he was happy. I've known for the last couple of years that he started slowing down, and he wasn't as active as he used to be. He didn't jump up on the cabinets. That was one of his favorite places to sleep, was on top of the kitchen cabinets. He stopped jumping as high. He stopped being as active in the daytime. He stopped playing with toys, and he just started slowing down. Then he started having some trouble eating because of teeth and gum problems. I had taken him to the vet about 2 years ago, and he was given anti-inflammatories and antibiotics for infection. And I knew at that time, the vet let me know that that was just going to buy him some time because of his age and the progression of the gum disease he had. He was just wearing down, his body was wearing down, and there was concerns of other things going on in his body as well. So we decided that at that time that we would just go through the course of antibiotics, and then it became clear about, I'm trying to think exactly how long, I think it's been almost a year now, I decided to go ahead and get his teeth cleaned, and he had a few pulled, And at that time, like before, the vet told me that that would buy him some more time and that would make him comfortable. And it did. He returned to eating pretty much normally. I did puree his food to make it easier, but he did chew and chomp his dry food, so there probably wasn't a need to puree the wet food, but I did. And like I said, that it held out and he did good for quite a while. Then the month of February, he had a bad month and he lost quite a bit of weight, and I knew his gum problems were coming back because he started getting really picky about his food again. When his teeth problems would start, he would get real picky about what he wanted to eat. He would only want, it comes in a pouch, it's actually a cat treat. It's a lickable cat treat, it's called Delectables. And that was the only thing he would eat with maybe a couple little crunches of dry food, but I would just feed him the pouches of the cat treat because he wouldn't eat much of anything else. He might eat some deli meat or some chicken, but that was about the extent of it for the month of February. And he lost a lot of weight. Then towards the beginning of March, he actually put on a little bit of weight and he started eating really well. And then again, by the middle of March, it started going downhill again. So the middle of March came and he stopped eating again, pretty much. It was back to his little delectable pouches, and that was about it. The last week of March was really difficult. He was having a really hard time eating. His mouth was hurting again on the opposite side. He was pawing at it. So I took him back to the vet, and I have the most awesome vet in the world. He is the most caring, empathetic, sympathetic person that you have ever wanted to meet, to animals and to humans. He saved the life of a goldfish. I mean, like, what vet does that, right? And he always takes the time to sit down with me and give me the options, but be honest with me. So we talked about what the best course of treatment would be for him. And like we talked about before, we knew that there wouldn't be any turning his health around, and there wouldn't be any like long-term life for him. But he gave him on Monday, this actually happened this past Monday, he gave him another shot for the infection in his teeth, his gums, and he hoped that that would draw out the infection and he'd be able to eat and again buy him a little bit more time. But he was concerned with the amount of weight that he lost, because he lost a lot of weight and he was just basically fur and bones at this point. And we had talked about if this would work and he could gain some weight back, that perhaps we could repeat the teeth cleaning and he would pull some more teeth, and maybe that would extend things a little bit more for him. So he came home on Tuesday. Well, he came home after the appointment on Monday. Then Monday, he was kind of quiet Monday evening. Then Monday evening into Tuesday, he ate pretty well. He had 3 packets of his Delectables. I gave him something. I don't know. I think it was roast beef I gave him, or chicken. I can't remember. I gave him something else, and he ate a couple little bites of it. But I could tell that his mouth still hurt. But he did eat, and which was good. And then Tuesday evening, it was kind of like his last little hoorah. He always loved when I would open the front door and I'd be talking with my neighbors. He loved to run into their apartments and look around. And he my one neighbor especially, he loved to run into her apartment. She would let him just walk around in the apartment. And what concerned me, I knew it wasn't a good sign, was he peed on her bed. And that just was not like Piggy. And then she found him. When we went to see what he was doing, he was in her toilet drinking out of her toilet. So I don't understand why that happened, because he had a clean litter pan and water here. So I knew that, like I said, I knew Tuesday it wasn't doing. And for the last week before this, he had been sleeping in our bathtub, and just the cold, hard bathtub. I tried to put a towel in there for him to lay on. Jane even put his cat bed in there, thinking that maybe he would curl up in the cat bed, but he didn't want anything soft to lay on. He just wanted to lay on the hard bathtub floor. And I'm thinking now, I think maybe he might have had a fever and the cool bathtub felt good to him. I'm not sure. But that's where he spent all of his time. He would come out to get a little nibbles of food, and then he would run right back into the bathroom, into the bathtub. And that broke my heart, that we were out here living life and he was in the dark bathroom all by himself. On Tuesday evening, I started going back and forth. I knew that it was just not good, and I knew that I was going to need to make a decision sooner or later. And I just kept dreading it, and I kept praying that if it was his time, that he could go peacefully at home, and that I wouldn't have to make the decision that I knew I was going to have to make about putting him to sleep. So I held him on Tuesday night. I cuddled him, all the time, but on Tuesday evening, a specific time, I brought him into my room and we laid in bed, and I cuddled him and I talked to him.
I ask, Lord, that you give Piggy peace through all of this, that no matter what happens, God, that you'll just give him peace in his little spirit. I should give peace in Jennifer's spirit and in her mind, a calmness and a knowing that this is that Piggy's at peace, and that you are present with Piggy and present with Jennifer herself, and in all this process. We ask, Lord, that if there is any pain, that you will ease pain in Piggy right now, and that your mighty hand will touch him, and that you'll even have a special angel to charge over Piggy to make sure that he gets the proper care and concern from Jennifer and Jennifer's concern. We just ask, Lord, we just release Piggy over to you. We thank you for the life that he's given Jennifer and through her mom. And we just thank you for the memories. And we release him over to you by faith, and for you to take stock and see what you see fit is best. We ask for your wisdom and discernment and strength during this time. And we thank you, Lord. We thank you for Piggy's life, and I thank you for Jennifer. And I just praise you and thank you for listening to our prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. And I told him how much I loved him. And I always had this thing, when I would cuddle him, I would tell him to turn his motor on, start his engine. And he always knew that I wanted to hear him purr. And for days before this, he hadn't purred at all. But when I told him that Tuesday evening, he started purring, and he purred louder than I've ever heard him purr in a few weeks. So I knew that I like to believe that he understood what we were talking about, and that I loved him, and I needed to make a decision that was the best for him and not be selfish and just keep him around because I was gonna miss him. And I think he understood. I was awake all night Wednesday night because his breathing, first it was very fast, and then on Tuesday evening it became kind of slow, and he kind of a little bit every once in a while. And he didn't seem to be able to get comfortable. He would just sit up, like hunched down, but he wouldn't lay down or curl up and go to sleep. He just sat straight up for a couple days, and that's what broke my heart too, because if he could have got comfortable and curled up, and I would have been okay with him just waiting to sleep it off, just not sleep it off, but just go to sleep and go to sleep naturally. But Thursday morning, after all that happened on Tuesday night, Wednesday, Thursday morning, very early in the morning, I had a really overwhelming sense of peace, and I knew that I was going to have to call the vet and have him put to sleep, because keeping him alive was only prolonging the inevitable, and it was for my sake, not his, and I didn't want him to suffer. I loved him enough, and that I didn't want that for him. So I made the appointment on Thursday morning, and they call it a quality of life check. And so again, the vet, he is, like I said, an amazing human being. He gave me some options, and one of the options was that they could keep him hospitalized and give him IV fluids and pump him up with some B vitamins in hopes that he would start eating again and maybe gain some pep back. But the drawback with that, he was going to have to be in the hospital and away from me for an extended period of time. And then when he would return home, it would very quickly turn itself around, and then we'd be right back to where we were on Thursday. So for a couple minutes, I contemplated that. I thought maybe if that could buy him some more time, but knowing we would just be back in the same situation, that it wasn't going to prolong his life months or years or probably even weeks, it would just be days again. I didn't want to put him through that. Another option was I could bring him back home and just wait for nature to take its course, but the drawback to that is there was the possibility that he could become in a lot of pain. He said he didn't think at the moment he was in pain, but there was a possibility that he could, towards the end, be in pain. And I didn't want that either, because I didn't know how quickly I could get him back to the vet if he was in pain, and I didn't want him to suffer. So we agreed that the best course of action would be to go ahead and have him put to sleep. So now here I am trying to figure out what my new normal of life is without him. For almost 15 years, he's been in my life and a constant. And it's extremely hard to look around, and I was always very conscious of where my cats are. I always check on them in the middle of the night when I get up. I check on them during the day. So not having him here has been very difficult. And I just missed his sweet little purr and his sweet little face. And Moo, last night, he would look around and then he would come over to me and I'd hold him and he would just look around and knew he was looking for his brother. Hang on and I'll show you. Here's my Mr. Moo. He's more interested in what's going on out the window at the moment. You look at the camera? He's always got that deer in the headlight look. Don't you? See, we're trying to figure out what life is without brother, huh? Without brother cat. Are you gonna look at the camera? Maybe Cat Daddy will walk over there behind the camera so you'll look over towards the camera. Hold on. Look at Cat Daddy over there. There's Cat Daddy. Look at Cat Daddy. Yeah, Cat Daddy. Look. There's my pretty boy. Say thank you, Cat Daddy. As you guys know, he's not a camera cat. He's not a sociable boy, except for me and Jean. He loves us, but he's not very sociable with other people, and he's struggling right now a little bit, huh? So we're both struggling. We're all three struggling. Me and you and a cat named Moo. That's a good name for a channel. Me, you, and a cat named Moo. Huh? So that's where I'm at right now, trying to figure things out and figure out how to go on from here. So that's what's been going on around here lately. It's not been a happy time. I have waves of crying when I have to talk about him. I feel very much at peace with the decision I made. I know it was the right decision. Even though I don't feel like it's the right decision for me, I felt like it's the right decision for him. And I think for us both, it was. Selfishly, I don't think it was the right decision. Selfishly, I would have loved to have put him on IVs and pumped him up and just kept pumping him up as long as I could have. But like the vet said, he was just running out of gas. And it was just time. It was his time to rest. I haven't gotten him back yet. There's a pretty little wooden box on Amazon that I want to get. And a little cat figurine. It's like this little angel holding a cat. And there's a wooden box too. So I plan on putting his little lashes in the box along with I did get his little collar. He wore this collar for 13 years with his little spoiled heart. Everybody always thought he was a girl because he had a pink collar. I always felt like he had a girl spirit, even though he was a boy. He just had a soft, sweet, gentle spirit. Though he got a pink collar. I'm gonna put his ashes when I get them back in the box with his collar and his little ducky that he loved. I do want to say thank you to a couple people, and I don't want to name names because I didn't ask if it was okay, who have sent me some money through PayPal to help cover the costs of the vet bill as well as the cremation. I appreciate that so much. That means more to me than you know, because it became quite expensive with the vet visits. It kind of tapped me out, but I don't regret it. I would do it all over again because he was my baby. So where do I go from here? I don't know. I am going to start uploading again and get back to some type of healthy eating. There's no excuse for eating like shit, but I just did. I used it as an excuse to comfort myself the way that I am used to comforting myself, which is through eating, and I just did that. I regret it. Of course, I always regret it when I do it, but it's what I know, and it felt good at the time. So there you have that. I'm not doing well in that area as well. I plan on spending the next few days trying to work on myself and figure out what comes next. I want to start uploading again. I keep saying that. I'm not going to make any promises of what the content's going to be or how often or when. When I feel I am ready and when I feel like uploading a video, then I will be here. And I will do a weigh-in coming soon, and we'll talk more about that in another video. I'm going to leave you guys with some pictures of Piggy through the years, and I'm going to read the Rainbow Bridge poem for you. And I just want to say again, thank you for everything you guys have done, and for being there, for supporting me, for those of you who have donated money to help with my expenses. I appreciate you guys so much, and I love you. I'll see you guys again soon. Stay tuned for pictures. The Rainbow Bridge poem. Just this side of heaven is a place called Rainbow Bridge. When an animal dies that has been especially close to someone here, that pet goes to Rainbow Bridge. There are meadows and hills for all of our special friends so they can run and play together. There's plenty of food, water, and sunshine, and our friends are warm and comfortable. All the animals who had been ill and old are restored to health and vigor. Those who were hurt or maimed are made whole and strong again, just as we remember them in our dreams of days and times gone by. The animals are happy and content, except for one small thing. They each miss someone very special to them who had to be left behind. They all run and play together, but the day comes when one suddenly stops and looks into the distance. His bright eyes are intent. His eager body quivers. Suddenly he begins to run from the group, flying over the green grass, his legs carrying him faster and faster. You have been spotted, and when you and your special friend finally meet, you cling together in joyous reunion, never to be parted again. The happy kisses rain upon your face. Your hands again caress the beloved head, and you look once more into the trusting eyes of your pet so long gone from your life, but never absent from your heart. Then you cross the Rainbow Bridge together. Mama loves you, sweetheart. I'll see you again soon.